if you didn't notice, I'm Chris. I was one of the associate producers and the tournament consultant and one of the announcers on stage for the World Championships. And this year is Alex Kerr, one of the Grandmasters featured in the film, as you just saw. Yeah. Now, one thing I'd like to say is, so this was the first ever Tetris World Championships. We just recently had the second annual Tetris World Championships in Los Angeles, was about a week and a half ago or so. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago. And it was an amazing event as well. You can check out the streams on the internet and on YouTube and whatnot. My brother has a channel that also covered it at convention life. He has some great footage of it too. The interesting thing that happened this year is Alex here was the one to come in second to join us this year. So they also had two tournaments, one in Classic Tetris and one on the newer version of Tetris for the PlayStation 3. And he came in second not only for NES Classic Tetris, but for PlayStation 3 Team as well. So Alex has been advancing his game very well in this tradition. So I guess I'd like to open it up to questions if you guys have any. Do you guys have any questions? Wow, okay. I think the guy way in the back.
How many hours did that tournament take?
That was an interesting question. Okay, we started it in the morning. The qualifying rounds were in the morning. There were 3 wildcard positions that we needed to fill. Anyone from the public could enter. It's like a $10 admission fee, and you got like a ticket to be able to play. And if you wanted to try it again, you paid $3, and you could buy as many tickets as you wanted. And you had until about noon, I believe. Was it noon, Alex? Yeah, it was around noon or 1 that the deadline for your score submission would be. So you would take a ticket and you would enter that dungeon room and you would play. And if you came out with a score that was great, they would record it, and then we got our top seats, the top 3 from that. Alex was barely hanging on for a very long time. And then just at the last second, Dana came in and was able to barely push his score off, and he wasn't able to participate in the finals. Ironically, this year in the championships, Alex went head-to-head with Dana for the very first round, and he was able to, even that score just a bit this year.
The finals, the entire tournament ended, I think, around like 6 or something, because I remember I had to catch an Amtrak train back, and I didn't get a stay for the after party. It was just after it ended at around 5 or 6, I had to just kind of say goodbye to everyone, kind of dash off to the train station.
Yeah, so there was a lot of footage there, but it actually didn't take a whole lot of time. It does seem like it's a lot longer than it really is, but it just took about 1 afternoon for those finals that you saw that took place in that theater. Okay?
It's not a question, I just want to say how awesome this movie was. I have a really high expectation for documentaries. I've seen 15 of them of this festival. This is by far the best movie at the festival, and one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. So.
Wow, thank you very much. That really means a lot to us. Our director is going to be really, really pleased to hear that. He poured his heart and soul into this. For me, it was just like an honor meeting all the characters, like all those people that you see in the movie. Unlike King of Kong, these are real people, and they're represented very accurately to who they are and the things that they love, and the camaraderie between the players and the characters is just something you get a good feeling from. So I'm glad that you enjoyed that too. Okay, was there another? Over there?
Yeah. So is there you guys did points and lines? Is there a head-to-head Tetris game where the junk shows up? Or
yeah, different versions of Tetris have a different way of doing their multiplayer. For NES Tetris, this version that was played on, the one that has all the little quirks and the little challenges, like you can't. There's like a level 29 kill stream and all the mythos surrounding it. For this version, there isn't really a multiplayer version, so we just had people competing for score. For instance, in PlayStation 3 Tetris, you do create lines and then you create garbage on the other player's screen. So there's different versions of Tetris and different ways of competing depending on what version it is. But for this old classic NES one, it was just for score. But this year we had the PlayStation 3 version, which players battled the different lines like you're talking about. In front?
Yeah, just for a level. I mean, there's a level of granularity you couldn't have gotten on the film, and I'm just interested in it, which was that Thor seems, of course, to have a mixed the whole thing.
Yes, that is something that we decided like was a really good focal point of the film,
Right.
and that's kind of our twist in the movie. Is that you might be expecting Thor to be like a villain or someone who had something to hide from his achievements and his scores, but the twist of the movie is that Thor is a really amazing guy and just a great guy all around, and he had these things happen to him in life. And the analogy to Tetris is that life sometimes gives you garbage and you have to deal with it, and if you're able to do that, that makes you a winner. And that's, I think, a powerful message that this film can portray.
Right. So what I was wondering with him was, it's obvious through your footage that he comes to this event after some recalcitrance and is a little bit unhappy about the cameras being there too, and then slowly changes up, and it appears by the end he feels like, again, and I'm just asking if this is what actually happened.
Yes.
Is it appears that he gets charmed enough that this world takes it so seriously and yet has so much fun with it that he then says, you know what, I think I'll just do one more training run just to bring it all home for you guys.
Yeah, it was actually a big challenge for Robin to convince Thor to even come out at all. And towards the end of it, it got to the point where, well, to give you a backstory on it, if you couldn't tell from the film, what happened to Thor is, these bad things happened to him, and his winnings from the Nintendo World Championships weren't exactly things that he got to celebrate. He didn't really get to keep any of the money or the prizes for himself, and they were basically just used to help his family to survive. So he did not view the Nintendo World Championships in a very positive light. It wasn't a very positive experience for him. So when he came in, to this other thing that Robin was asking him to be a part of, so Thor did come, mainly as a favor to Robin, who had been kind of really nice to him, and they've been developing a friendship after the rivalry from the '90s. And when he did come out to the beach house and we got to hang out and everything like that, he found the camaraderie that you saw in the movie and the people that really loved the Tetris game, and he felt the common bond there, and you could see him come alive again. Even in the movie, you can see that through each day that progressed, that he was exposed to the participants, he just felt a respect and a bond with everybody else, and that made him actually want to play again. And he did try to, for the cameras, achieve that level 30. He didn't succeed, but after that, he did it on his own, and then videotaped it for the ending here.
Right.
And that's how it played out. So it's very close to what you just said.
Okay.
There.
So where do you go with the max out in the level 30?
Well, currently, that max out at level 30 is, now that's like the new high standard. It's, I don't know, I guess the only thing you could really go for beyond that is to get more lines.
Do it earlier. The only things I can think of in terms of NES, unless you move to another game, are like line efficiency, trying to get an earlier max out, or like Jonas can do back-to-back max outs from level 19. Like, that shows consistency, I suppose, if you can bring it to that level. But yeah, even if it's to that point where you're at the top of the game, I just think it's every game you play is still interesting. So I think people are going to keep playing it regardless.
Actually, Alex is a very technical master of Tetris. He knows all about the rules and how it works on a very, very operational level. So if you have any crazy questions about how Tetris works, he's the guy to ask. There you go.
Alex, have you played the Invisible Tetris one more since then? No, it appears that your skill has gone up a great deal, and have you played that game? And has your game changed since then?
I would say that the game that shows in the film, like when I'm watching it, just because I haven't watched it for a long time, I'm like, oh man, I wouldn't put any of those pieces anywhere. Like, there's a lot of mistakes and holes that I see along the way. But yeah, I do play a lot. We have one of those games in the series at San Jose State in the bowling center, so I go and play every once in a while whenever I have free time or need to relieve stress. And I think my game has improved a lot. It's just a matter of trying to get faster times and hopefully pulling one together that gets everything right so I can improve my records.
I noticed from this championship, Alex, I looked at the championship for last one that just happened a week ago, that you are using your own controller. You brought your own controller to the game.
Yeah, I think the people that didn't bring their controllers for NES were actually, they kind of regretted it because there's just something about the feel of your own controller. Like, you've broken it in a certain way, you know the weird things that it does. So I know that last year when I was using a lot of other controllers, I'd have to like find one that wasn't really stiff or like had the right, I guess, give to it. So this year I just figured I'll just throw mine in my backpack. There are some weird stuff it does where sometimes it just like, the button hits twice instead of once, so I was hoping that wouldn't happen. But even if that did happen, I know my controller better than any of the ones that would have just been there. In the back there?
Yeah, so Invisible Tetris, I don't know much about Tetris. Invisible Tetris is a bit strange. Is there anything else that's as strange as Invisible Tetris?
I don't know. I mean,
It never entered my head that you could have Invisible Tetris.
yeah, because that game, the reason it comes up like that is that game, after you play the main game, it gets up all the way to like the max gravity and you get to the credits. The challenge is if you've done enough things right in that game, it gives you the invisible, and if you pass that, then you get the highest rank. So I guess that's how that came into play. Other weird things, well, I guess because of the invisible, there are a couple of players that are trying to play blindfolded right now, and it's really difficult to play it just by sound. It's incredibly difficult. I think the record is like maybe 10 lines. People are just trying to play 40 lines and see if that works, and that's not been too successful so far. And I guess there are a lot of variants out there. There's like cascading Tetrises and like big Tetris. That same game has like an alternate mode where you play with like giant pieces. They're twice as big, so like your small mistakes turn into something huge. Like, yeah, it seems like it'd be easier to clear lines, but like one small mistake and you're going right up to the top. Yeah, I mean, it's a really diverse game. There's all sorts of stuff. And another thing that I think is interesting, recently some fans made like a game that not only has like tetraminos, it starts like introducing the pentaminos and up. It's called Entris, and like it goes up to like, you have these nasty looking pieces that have like 10 blocks in them. And you're just like trying to figure out how is the best way to place this so I can like stack it flat across and clear it out and survive. So I mean, I don't know, I think that's all I can think of off the top of my head, but it's a huge game. There's all sorts of things you can do with it. Okay, one more. Doubles Tetris is a cooperative Tetris. You have two pieces coming down in the same field at the same time. That one's a lot of fun too.
Like the Tang one, the old Tang NES one has it.
Yeah, Tetris Grandmaster 2 has it also.
Oh, awesome. Okay, yeah.
So, you mentioned both before the movie and just a minute ago the film King of Kong, which has a lot of the same themes about it, the same sort of like tournament aspect to it.
Yeah.
And similarly, you know, even not necessarily a video game, but the film Wordplay plays into a lot of the same things. Like, when you're making a movie like this, how hard is it to not essentially just make the same movie? Or like, how do you...
in this particular instance, yeah, we were aware of King of Kong going in. In fact, some of our cast, Dana, like even mentioned it in her thing. But King of Kong was kind of, I mean, it's the first video game documentary to really break through, but it wasn't the first one. For games, you have a video game, you have a bunch of people going for a high score. There have actually been other documentaries about that. There was one for Missile Command. I believe Adam was actually working on one for Asteroids before this, and there's another one called Chasing Ghosts, which is really good if you can go out and Google it and find it. It's about the 80s competitive gaming scene in general, and it also features Billy Mitchell, who is one of the characters in King of Kong. When Adam set out to create this movie, he basically just he loved Tetris. Adam himself is a great Tetris player. He came in actually 10th in this year's tournament. He just loves the game, and he wanted to make this tournament and make this movie and get everybody together. He was really good at it. I don't think he was too concerned about being like a King of Kong ripoff. And after the film started coming together, he noticed that there are a lot of things about what we were doing that were completely distinct from King of Kong. We don't have like an evil villain or a hero or an underdog or anything like that. We have a bunch of diverse characters who just love to play a game, and just watching them and seeing what they do, that's a lot of the charm of the movie. So coming out from this and looking at it, everybody who has talked about our movie says that it's so different from King of Kong, and there are a lot of things that they like about our movie, you know, as good as or better or in parallel to that movie. So we're not too afraid of being compared to it at this point, and I think we've succeeded in differentiating ourselves from it.
So, you noticed that several of the producers and executive producers are people that were also participants in the film. How did that?
That was kind of interesting, actually. Matt Bucco was one of the principal producers. He heard about the movie being made, and Adam, was looking for people to, help fund the movie. But this guy Matt also loved Tetris, so he's like, okay, I want to be in on this, and he contributed to the movie. But then when the tournament happened, of course he's going to show up because he's a great Tetris player. And for myself, I love Tetris, and Robin was a great friend of mine, and I just wanted to help them make it, and I got in on it just by wanting to participate and wanting to help. It was really a collaborative effort from a lot of people who just love Tetris, love video games, love the whole Nintendo scene. So it was a big coming together and a big group effort to help make this possible, and that's why we're listed as producers, associate producers, and the like. Anything else? Did you guys enjoy the movie? All right. I'm glad you did. And thank you so much for coming out and being in and helping support us. Tell your friends, make sure you fill out your card and turn it in and tell us what you thought. Any last words, Alex? Tetris, yeah.
Is there another competition next week?
I believe they're going to try to make it a yearly thing. So since we had another one, and we even had more sponsorship involvement this year, so it's going to be hopefully getting bigger and better with every revision. And I was the announcer once again for this year's tournament, except this year I was dressed in this big Nintendo armor robot suit. You can check out pictures of it online. If you go to Tetris Official, their Twitter has like videos and pictures and stuff like that. So, all right. Well, thanks again for coming out.
Thanks.